Coming at you live, it's Sunday Stories.
911, what's your emergency?
And the mayhem began. Today, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador defended the decision to retreat.
Every 14 minutes, there's a knife crime across England and Wales.
Where this story is concerned, Mark, we are left with a lot of unanswered questions here.
The Mexican state of Sinaloa erupted into violence Thursday.
Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Stories with me, your host, Fahrim Shirinzade, and
Benjamin Fazic.
And in this episode, we will talk about crime. To be more specific, crime in Sweden. Can you give me some perspective of what's going on right now? Give us the news, give us the latest headlines, and let's just cut into it.
Well, first off, it's popping off time. There is bombs going off every day, almost. Feels like it. Last week you had 3 explosions all over Sweden. You had one in southern Sweden, one in the middle of Sweden, one in Stockholm, large one in Stockholm, and it's all gang rivals and gangs bombing each other for police protection, for power, for money, and it's starting to look like Baghdad over here.
Like, they classify it as a criminal act, right? Which it is.
Right.
But they don't classify it as a terrorist act.
Right.
Which is pretty weird. Because, like, what is the difference between a terrorist that, pops a bomb?
Well, by definition, the terrorist is doing this because of a political statement, or he's doing it to terrorize you into doing something.
Right.
These bombings have been more of a criminal versus criminal element.
Yeah.
So they have more to do with property destruction and just intimidating the targets. And, like a funny thing that I found interesting was there's no casualties. No one's dying in these bombs. There's been about 120 bombings in Sweden.
That's crazy.
Last year. No casualties.
You think they plan to not have casualties?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they're someone's very close by, or someone's monitoring this, doing a stakeout, finding out when people are not around, finding out where to put it. Because I feel like if you weren't going to do it in the 120 bombings, you'd have someone walk by, you'd have some casualty. But so far they've not had that. So it's
But it's, I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it's well planned, but I mean, this is actually like buildings where people live in.
Yeah.
So it's very unlikely that you will have someone injured.
Yeah.
But I think it was like the latest news of the bombing in a family house area.
Yeah.
It was something about like revenge for the non-surrender gang, which is an MC gang, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They caught a guy from Bandidos,
Right.
another MC gang that was caught in the vicinity of the area. And, obviously he's not talking. No one's talking. And but I think a lot of signs point to it being internal gang conflict between the gangs. Because the one that was in Stockholm earlier this week, what's known as a trap house, they were selling drugs, they were selling the guns, they were selling a lot of stuff from this house.
It was a good area too, right?
Yeah, it was a rich. They were supplying the rich people of Stockholm. They just in the newspapers they describe it as a drug central.
Shit.
So people were coming in, coming out, just buying and coming out.
That's a shift, like, in the society, because a couple of years ago, let's say like 10 years ago, you had this bad neighborhoods where usually the drug deals were going on.
Yeah.
Now they're moving into the good areas. You don't have a central headquarter for this kind of activity, right?
No, but that's the whole thing that they want to have you feel like. So it's not centralized. They want to feel like it's decentralized, so that if you catch one of them, or you catch one part of the group, you're not going to shut down the whole operation. It's a nationwide operation.
Right.
That's why you see gangs like Hells Angels, Bandidos, No Surrender, and actually making it.
Yeah.
Because they have affiliations all over Sweden, all over Europe. They're all over the world. Yeah.
And their main income is actually the drug trade.
Yeah, they have income of drug trade. They have income extortion. They have a lot of money coming in from gun trades. They have, I'm sure they have a lot of legal assets as well. Mechanic shops. They have a lot of.
Yeah,
stuff
absolutely. They have
yeah.
to launder the money somehow
Yeah.
to get it clean. There was also like some facts showing that all of these explosions was actually explosion used in like construction areas.
Oh.
Now they're starting to investigate if maybe the construction companies, do they handle the explosives, or if explosives get missing,
Yeah.
do they just
who's responsible if
exactly
50 kilos of dynamite goes missing?
Yeah. But I feel like that should be like your main priority.
Right.
If you're a boss, you're like, 2 bombs were missing. Where is it? We're just gonna take it off the list.
Yeah. Also, 2 bombs went off in Stockholm. I don't know. Any affiliation?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, but criminal gangs are getting more sophisticated.
Yeah.
It must be very hard for cops to
yeah,
take
police.
them down.
They've actually started a new operation. Last November, they started Operation Rimfrost.
Whoa, it sounds cool though.
It sounds cool,
It sounds like a movie.
right? Sounds like a James Bond.
Yeah.
Operation Rimfrost.
Right.
Right. But it's actually just the cops cracking down on organized crime, cracking down on gangs, trying to stop drugs, trying to stop weapons and bombs.
Shit.
So thus far, Operation Rimfrost they've been quite successful actually. They've catched a lot of people, and they plan on continuing Operation Rimfrost for about 6 months. And they wanted to. Originally, it was supposed to just be in Malmö because they have a very big.
That's a big center
they have
for
a
it.
big. They have a big gang problem, and but seeing as it was so successful down there, they've expanded it to Stockholm, and now Västerås is also gonna
Wow.
Operation Rimfrost is gonna reach
Shit.
Västerås.
Damn.
Yeah.
But does the operation have like a unique kind of touch to fighting crime? Like,
Well, I think it's just because they're focused on finding the big guys,
Right.
the big fish who's
Yeah.
out there. They don't really care about drug buyers. They don't really care about people affiliated with them. They just want to climb the ladder,
Right.
get the people at the top, and then try to stop the network. Because right now it's out of control.
It is.
You have so many gangs. How many can we just drop off the? We got Hells Angels, Bandidos, No Surrender, X Team,
Kurdish Mafia.
Kurdish Mafia.
Yeah.
You have Serbian Mafia. You have Russian Mafia, Swedish Mafia.
Every nationality got their own.
They did turn into a house band though for a small while, but Swedish House Mafia they were still up.
For a political side of it, this is like the best time for radical parties
Right.
to gain from this,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So you have one force, like the
Yeah.
political side, the radical political side, which maybe does not want to solve this problem fully, you know?
All right, the radicals, especially the right radicals, that's currently gaining the most out of it, not solving, because it really seems like the government's ineffective, not doing their job, and it looks poorly on them.
Yeah.
Currently, Stefan Löfven is taking a lot of heat because there is so much going on. The big question is, would it have been different if Ulf Kristersson would have been in charge?
I don't know.
Would it have been different if Jimmy Åkesson would have been in charge? I think that we would have the same.
But I feel like when we came to Sweden, it was around like 2002 or something like that. It was some crime going on, but it wasn't all over Sweden. You
Right.
had some parts of
Right.
it. Yeah. But today, you can't even go outside feeling like I am safe, or I can't have cash on me because there's a risk of getting
Right.
robbed. It's changing. It's
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah, it's society. I feel like is changing because these criminals are getting more money, mainly from the drug trade, but they're laundering more money. So let's say when you guys came in 2002, what the Swedish El Chapo, he was just starting out. So what was he making?
Sure.
A couple of thousand. But he's been picking up. He's been working for 18 years, starting a gang, growing affiliates, buying legal businesses, laundering money, moving up, and now all of a sudden they have massive gangs everywhere. That's recruiting a lot of these young people. That's because I feel like my theory is there's a lot of negativity in schools on results. There's a lot of competition for these spots, universities where you're gonna go.
That's a good point.
And as a kid, we've all been kids. We've all been broke ass kids. First thing you want to have when you're a kid, you want to have money. You want to get the Gucci bag. You want to get the clothes. You want to get everything. You want to get the status. You want to get people's respect.
True.
You don't really get that when you're a kid.
True.
But if you move into crime, you will get
pretty fast.
You will pretty fast get a lot of money. Get a lot of.
That's true, actually, because the hip hop scene has, I wouldn't say like the center of crime, but it has been associated with crime for a long time.
Yeah.
And today's rappers, like for example, the trap music, it's.
Yeah, exactly. But just the like I said earlier, trap house is a house that sells drugs. So right there, the trap music is where people selling drugs music.
Yeah, true.
And I don't want to hate. I am a fan of trap music, but I will say it is a lot of crime going on in those songs.
It is. It is. And they promote like this kind of things. I have this much money. I have Gucci. Yeah. And of course, people want to have it.
Yeah, they do promote almost a gang mentality, mentality of crime being cool, and I see a lot of young people associating with that. I see a lot of young people like resonating in their mind that it is cool. It is if all your friends are doing it, all your friends are hustling on the side, they're all making money this way. No one's knowing about it. The parents don't know about it, and then all your friends want to be like, "Hey, let's just join up. We'll start doing it together." That's
true.
And we'll never surrender.
No, that's true.
No surrender.
No surrender. Yeah.
And then and then you have now it's escalated so far that they have these murder for hire kids.
Whoa.
Kids that you just...
And it's kids.
Yeah, it's 15-year-olds kids. Just they give them a gun and they tell them, you get 40,000, 50,000 if you shoot this person.
And of course, if you're broke, and your parents, maybe your dad drives a taxi, maybe took 20,000 a month maximum, you're gonna take it.
Yeah, your mom's staying at home.
Yeah.
They want to make it cool that they don't care about the law. They don't care about that because they have their own rules of conduct. They have their own gang that they only care about the gang's respect. They only care about their friends or something like that. And I see the appeal of it because it's very short term, like gain, get cash now, get the bitches now. Ain't nobody getting bitches in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
they're getting bitches now.
True.
And I see it resonating a lot of young people because I don't see them. Because now the whole pitch that we give the kids now is like, okay, stay in school. And then stay in school for another 5 years. And then stay in school for another 5 years. And then in 13 years of school, maybe you'll get a job. And then after those jobs, maybe 10, 15 years, you'll have enough money. You'll buy a house.
Exactly.
And then,
get a mortgage.
Right, get a mortgage. And you get your kids, do the whole thing. And I don't think that resonates with a lot of millennials and a lot of young people. No. That's... we've been listening to this music all our lives. Yeah. Hearing about get the bread, get the strap, get it.
But it was different. Like, if we go back to like Tupac and Biggie and all of, even Jay-Z, those kind of artists was, they was promoting some kind of different life. They were maybe rapping about their mothers, about their wives, or how tough it was, But these days, it's not like how tough it is. It's like how good it is.
Yeah.
And there you have the switch, right?
Yeah. I feel like glorifying drug use.
Yeah.
Like we have the now famous line Tupac dropped: "Smoke weed every day."
Yeah.
He was smoking weed. That was the main selling point of his songs. Now it's cooking up dope with the Uzi. Now it's like cocaine. They use heavy drugs and Molly Percocet.
True.
There's a lot of heavy narcotics. There's a lot of glorifying drug use and how fucked up you can get from these drugs.
We have this one side, all of these gangs that are like very well funded.
Right.
And then we have the political side, which is like has to put up the regulations and fight the crime.
Yeah.
And then the suppliers of these drugs, which is the cartels.
No.
Can you tell us something about the cartels? Like how do they involve in this kind of age? How do they evolve
well,
in
let's say
2020?
you have. We don't have to just talk about the cartels. This is just international crime syndicates. How they have production. They have production in third world countries. They have production where officials are easy to bribe, where the police is going to look the other way. If you're going to try and have a huge methamphetamine lab, it's not going to work in Sweden. 'Cause
Obviously, yeah,
one
yeah,
cop
true.
sees it and bam, he has
Yeah.
to report it. But down in Colombia or Ecuador or El Salvador or Mexico, there's a lot of they have a lot lower income, and the criminals the crime syndicates, they make so much money that they can pay a police officer a year's salary just to look away. Just don't do your job, and we'll give you a year's salary. Of course you're gonna look away.
Yeah, of
because if you
course.
don't look away, we'll kill your family and
Exactly.
you know,
No money and then you're dead.
right? Or maximum money, and you don't even have to do your job. All you gotta do is stay in your car, listen to radio. Like now, we're just talking about South America, but this applies to pretty much everywhere where it's low income.
Like
North
Philippines,
Africa,
right?
Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
you have a
right.
lot of production sites in Poland and Czechoslovakia, Moldova. No
That
one
feels like a country that has no control.
right,
Moldova,
but
right?
like because if you have no resources, you
Yeah.
have no economic leeway. These crime syndicates, they have an easier time of rooting themselves, finding people that's gonna look away, finding people that's gonna help them, because they have so much money. Because they take money like that. Pretty much no other corporation does. They take money from the rich countries, and then reinvest them. Sure, into crime, but they reinvest them in the country, in these poorer countries, and that resonates in the poorer countries because they want to keep having income.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Mexico; they produce a lot of the drugs that the United States make. You know, all of the cocaine, all of the methamphetamine, not all of the marijuana, but some of the marijuana, and then just transport over the border, and it changes from making $5 in Mexico to making $500 in America. So
That's a boost.
that is a 100 times increase in profit.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is move the products 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and then you get that big of an increase. And if you want to, when you mentioned it was three parts, you had the political side, you had the suppliers, and then you have the
gangs.
the gangs and the small. And I want to talk about the gangs and how because the gangs, especially in Sweden, they sell narcotics and they make a lot of fucking money.
True.
They have incomes of 50 million crowns almost yearly, these big gangs. And you cannot compete with this on a local level. How is one cop going to stop 50 million crowns worth of product getting sold? You may catch one guy.
Yeah.
But you're not going to sell 50 million crowns worth of product through one guy. You're going to have 50 guys, 70 guys out there working, hustling their asses off. And you catch one, that's not going to stop the whole flow. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. And because they're making so much money, they can keep recruiting these new kids. You know, you give them a cash up front, 40,000. Start selling for me. Or you start doing this for me. Of course they'll take it. They're making, 1,000 crowns a month? If their parents give it to them, of course they're going to take it. And they're going to sell it because there's always going to be a supply and demand for drugs. There's always going to be people that want it, and there's always going to be people that sell it. Same thing with America in 1930s. They banned alcohol.
Right.
What happened? Al Capone.
Yeah, Al Capone.
Al
It was
Capone.
a
You had
bloodbath.
yeah, they Chicago. They multiple gang wars, and then they took it out, the ban on alcohol. Al Capone was sent to Alcatraz, and then now there's not too much alcohol related.
Yeah.
You know, sure there's some guys selling alcohol out of their cars, but that's not Al Capone anymore. But then when they have the same problem with El Chapo, and they have the same problem with, like in Sweden, we have these mafias, we have these gangs. They're just, all they're doing is just selling cocaine and weed, and then they're making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And they want to protect this money. They want to protect their income, like all corporations do. They lobby by shootings and bombs.
Exactly.
And the whole thing that the political side, which was the second aspect that you was talking about, is that they can regulate this market by legalizing the market. I see that is the only way I see it, as we're going to see an end to this conflict. You have to cut funding. You have to cut funding for the corporations so they don't have money for guns. Because guns aren't cheap. Ammunition isn't cheap. Bombs are not cheap. But they have such a high income that they have the money to buy these resources. But if we cut their feet off, if you cut their income, they will not have the money to continue these attacks.
That is true.
Terrorizing society and such.
Yeah. No, that is true. I mean, like, they did the study on the revenue the entire Stockholm has on drugs.
Yeah.
So what they did was they measured the urine, like every day for a month in Stockholm. They got that entire Stockholm use per day. I think it was per day. Yeah, per day they use 30 million crowns of products.
Yeah.
And that's cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana. You got all kinds of drugs, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a market that's 30 million crowns a day, this is just one city in Europe, which is not even a big city in Europe.
Right. Imagine how much Berlin.
Whoa, London, man,
France,
shit.
Paris. It's
Whoa.
gotta be crazy. Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, this criminal organizations, in the time of Pablo Escobar and Chapo, they had like massive problems with money laundering. They were getting all of this cash on the ground, like millions of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I also read that 10% of their annual revenue was eaten by rats. Like, that's
Pablo Escobar's?
Pablo Escobar's money, right? Even today they find some kind of cash on the ground.
I just want to say, imagine being a farmer.
Yeah.
You're making no money. And then all of a sudden you start digging and you see like $1 million that's like been rotten. It's been in your land since Escobar. You've been like, wow. But do you even dare to keep it? Because what if he has a guy that's still looking for this?
What kind of cartel was he with? Do you remember that?
Escobar was in the Medellin cartel. He started the Medellin cartel,
right,
from the city of Medellin.
And he was against...
They're still going.
They're still going. True. No, but like, so
they still have not cut the funding.
Of course,
that's the thing. You can keep taking out the CEO of a company, but if the company's still making money, they're gonna hire a new CEO.
True.
That's the thing.
And as you were saying, if you give back to the people, you're gonna be seen as like Batman of the society.
Speaking of Pablo Escobar, that is exactly what he has done. The city of Medellin, where he's from, he funneled a lot of the money back into the community there, investing in schools, investing in
churches.
Yeah, churches, food for the people. He was having cookouts, inviting everybody. The people of Medellin, they love Pablo Escobar. They have statues to Pablo Escobar, and because in their view, he's a good guy. They're taking money from the gringos, the Americans that's been trying to fuck Colombia, and funneling it back into the system. Pablo Escobar, he reincorporated a lot of the money into his old neighborhood. He had, like you said, almost like a Batman vibe, Robin Hood vibe.
Definitely.
You don't see that anymore. You don't see these criminal organizations reinvesting into the community anymore. Like a lot of these people, they sell cocaine, they sell ecstasy, marijuana, ruins communities, ruins everything. But they don't reinvest any of the money. They just launder the money and then take it with them or take it with the gang or do something like that.
True.
Speaking of laundering money, they just caught the biggest money laundering operation in Swedish history.
In Swedish history?
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, they called it Operation Casino.
Another cool name.
Another James Bond and the Operation of Casino. No, it was 108 people indicted, which is a record-setting number of people. 108 people that was convicted of money laundering. The whole gist of it was a person gets told by another person to take out a loan
Right.
like £500,000 in loans.
Like whatever bank you want.
Whatever bank, just take out a loan, 500,000.
Okay.
They transfer the money to this guy, the
Right.
guy that told them to get the loan. This guy goes to Monaco or another place that has casinos that's friendly to them. They take the cash to the casino, buys chips, then doesn't even gamble at the casino, just transfer the chips back into cash. All of a sudden, it's white money, 0% lost.
That's so simple and smart.
It's so simple. But so person A, the one that took out the loan, then goes to the bank and says, my identity has been jacked. Someone has taken out this loan in my name. So a couple of years ago, the banks were just been like, oh, okay, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay it back. We'll write it off. But there's been so many of these frauds happening that the banks are like, no, you're gonna have to pay it back now. They've strengthened their checks. And so it all started with this one guy got arrested in Landvetter airport in Sweden with 50,000 euros cash.
Whoa.
Heading to Monaco. He was associated with the Uppsala mafia, or Uppsala gang. He got caught. They started looking into his finances, looking into where he was going, what's been happening. And they found out that 50 million Swedish crowns had been laundered through this network.
Whoa. 50 million
50
crowns.
million Swedish crowns. So all they was doing is they was flying cash to Monaco, transferring it, and then
This is some Wolf of Wall Street shit.
Yeah, taking it out and then just transfer it to your account.
Wow.
Online. Because all of a sudden it's white money because you won it. You won it somewhere. And so what happened was 108 people was indicted, convicted. The top guy, he got 8 years.
That's it?
That's it. He got 8 years, and then everyone else got maybe a couple of years or probation, heavy fines, something like that. But 108 people was indicted in the biggest money laundering scheme. And I think that's a large portion of where the gang's income goes to.
Yeah. So it's a new market opening up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can trade online, you can buy stuff, you can rate people, you can rate drug dealers.
Just like Amazon or eBay or
Exactly.
any of your online retailers, because you have ratings, you have reviews, you have everything from speed, how fast was the package sent, how many times has he done deals, how many, it's drug trade of the future.
It is.
And it's no longer cash that was bad for Pablo Escobar. You're paying them in stocks.
Yeah.
You're paying them in a stock that's going up.
Every time I think about it, it's very hard to find like a one-way solution to this problem, right?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the amount of problem the cops and politicians have on this mass scale.
Yeah, but I feel like the feeling I get from politicians is nobody really wants to talk about it.
Yeah, because
the only party that wants to talk about it is the Nazis.
Yeah,
and they're like, hey, we're gonna send in the army. The army's not gonna do anything. It's all online. They're not gonna stop it. You're just gonna not do it while the army's there, and then when the army leaves, you're right back at it. It's like Al Capone. They didn't stop Al Capone. They changed the laws that cut the funding from Al Capone, and that's how you stop him. That's the only way to stop him is regulating it, do some kind of a Systembolaget type thing for international viewers. That's where alcohol in Sweden is regulated through a monopoly that the government has, that they sell alcohol. Nobody else is allowed to sell hard alcohol except bars and clubs.
and then they have like massive tax on that, so
massive
they make
taxes,
a lot of money.
and it's closed on Sundays, and it's shitty opening hours. Ain't nobody getting a bottle of vodka at 3 o'clock in the morning in Sweden. You better call Al Capone in that case. And I feel like if nobody wants to legalize hard drugs. Nobody wants to do it. But what are we dealing with here? We are dealing with bombs going off every week, shootings every day. And that's happening. Every day there is a shooting in Sweden. That was not like that in 2002.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And this is around the world, man. Around the world.
Yeah, but around the world you have like different problems. If you just look at Sweden, it was a very quiet country.
Yeah.
It was a very peaceful country. It used to be national news when there was a shooting. You know, it used to be everywhere. Now there's shootings every day. Well, what happened? I was a shooting. Was that a gunshot? Definitely was a gunshot. People are getting killed. 15-year-olds are getting killed.
Yeah.
They had last summer. There was or was it even summer? It was probably in the last autumn. Karolina Hakim. It was a Swedish doctor married to a criminal. Got shot. They got the wrong person. Or you have Nadella Jack, 18-year-old, also Swedish. Same week, they got the wrong person.
Wow.
They shot him. They're shooting civilians out there.
Wow.
And then you have a 15-year-old that got shot back in winter a couple of months ago.
Was a pizzeria
Pizza
shot,
outside
right?
a pizzeria.
Yeah.
You got him and his friend, 15 and 16-year-old. They got shot right outside, gunned
What
down.
can you possibly have done to deserve to get shot at the age of 15?
You was probably selling drugs in their community.
Right.
You were trying to take over from somebody else, or you talk shit, or you did. I don't know what happened. Maybe he was a civilian casualty.
Yeah.
It's wrong either way of what happened.
Of course.
But the only reason this happens is because the other person has such a big income that he affords an AK-47.
Yeah.
He affords the mags, and those aren't cheap. AK-47s cost maybe 50,000, 60,000 crowns. And that's without the ammo. You're going to get the ammo on top of that. And if you have that kind of cash flow, you're doing something illegal.
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Wow, man. This episode has been up and down, but it has been really exciting because crime is on the horizon, like it's always been.
Yeah.
So let's give the politicians that are listening to Sunday Stories some advice, okay?
Yeah.
So from you, the diver, Benjamin, what would your advice be? What should we do?
Well, my first advice would be to listen to the community. Look at the laws that we have instead of just making it like now they want to have like a lot of discussions are like, oh, we're going to make it tougher laws on gun. If you have a gun, you're going to get a harder sentence. Or if you get caught with drugs, you're going to get a harder sentence. You're going to get... but that is not going to stop it. If you look at America, you get caught with a gun, you get a 5-year minimum. You get caught with a kilo of cocaine, you get a life in prison. Look, United States, they've gone to the wall with this. Oh, we're going to be tough on them. We're going to be tough on them. They have the biggest criminal population in the world.
Yeah.
3 million Americans are sitting in jail
Whoa.
because of long-term sentences that the politicians have been like, oh, this is going to crack down on crime. They haven't cracked down on crime. They have a large cocaine epidemic. They have an opioid epidemic.
Yeah, shit.
They've just started to legalize weed. Oh, look at it. Oh, Colorado has the lowest crime rate. Oh, they have... Because that's how you solve it. You cut the funding from the gangs. You cut off their supply of weapons. You cut off their ability to commit these attacks. So the politicians, I would look into what can we do to make it more regulated? What can we do to stop the influx of drugs? If you can't stop it, if they have it, and nobody wants to say that the Systembolaget is going to start selling drugs, but what's the other options?
Yeah.
We have shootings every day.
Yeah.
We have civilians getting shot down. We have bombs everywhere, and it's not going to stop. More people are using drugs than ever before, and more kids are being brought up on more criminal activities and more glorifications of criminal activities, that it's not going to stop. You have to either legalize and regulate, heavily tax that shit, and when you have it in the bud, then you maybe try to phase it out.
True.
You try to, when you have it regulated, when you have it checked up on, because if you regulate it, no one's going to get it. You know, kids are not going to get it. You're going to have a lower crime rate. You're going to have a lower, poverty is going to go down because you can't, if you regulate, you can't buy enough. You can't. Drug dealers have no moral ambiguity. They will sell to a 5-year-old. They will sell to a 10-year-old. Systembolaget will not sell to a 10-year-old because it's regulated. And I think that would be my step forward. I know nobody wants, the only thing we're talking about is harder sentences. Oh, gotta crack down. It doesn't work. United States, they went crazy cracking it down. They went so hard on the crackdown, and now they're suffering. They have the biggest population of inmates in the world that just committed, like, you get caught with a couple of drugs, you get caught with a gun, you make a mistake. That's not supposed to end your life. It's supposed to make you change your ways and then come out of it a better person. But if you crack down on people that's obviously already cracked down, because if you get caught with a gun, you get caught with drugs, your life's not going too well. You don't need a heavy sentence to give you that. You need someone to help you. You need someone to show you the way forward. And harder sentences will not do that.
That's true. That's true. That's a very, very good sum up.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you heard the man. Thank you guys for listening to Sunday Stories with me, your host, Fahrim Shirinzade. And as always, I had the diver,
Benjamin Fazich.
Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you, maybe with Benjamin, in the next episode
of Sunday Stories.